Hi everybody, Dan Illman here. We're taking a look at the Grade 3 Cornhusker Handicap at Prairie Meadows on Saturday. It's carded as race number 9. $300,000 is the purse. We're going 1.125 miles. Let's take a look at this field. And there's a horse that ran very well in two extremely prestigious races back in the Cornhusker, and that's the number 5, Warrant, who's 8-5 on the morning line. Warrant just missed by a head in the prestigious Santa Anita Handicap, the big cap, going 1.25 miles on March the 5th. He ran very gamely that day, making an early move 3/8 of a mile from home and battling the length of the stretch with the classy express train. And last time out, trainer Brad Cox stretched Warrant all the way out to 1.5 miles in the Grade 2 Brooklyn, and he ran a solid second behind a sharp horse in Fearless. He gets a little bit of class relief here. I really think the distance relief is going to work for him as well, and he's a tactically inclined horse. We threw up the Timeform US pace projector for this race. Flash of Mischief, the number 1, didn't make the lead last time out in the Steve Sexton Mile, but breaking from the rail, I wouldn't be surprised at all if he's put on a little bit of a send mission. Fleetridge, the 6, does have some speed, but I think he'll be content to stalk. I think the 2 officiating, that horse could be the key to this race, because he's stretching all the way out from 6 furlongs to 1.125 miles. And while he's far from a blazer, he's chased some pretty quick paces in his career. I think he'll be close to the pace, but I do agree with Timeform US that Flash of Mischief, the 1, should be forward. And we'll begin our analysis with the number 1, Flash of Mischief, 6-1 on the morning line, making his 3rd start of the form cycle. A horse that's run well at Prairie Meadows in the past. He was second in both the Prairie Mile and the Iowa Derby here last year. His most recent race in the Steve Sexton Mile, he just didn't fire. He was 7th of 9. That race was his 2nd start of the form cycle. His first start back was likely a fitness-building prep going 6 furlongs. He got caught in a speed duel and tired. I was just disappointed in this Steve Sexton. This was a horse that finished off his 3-year-old campaign with a 90 Beyer speed figure against a good horse last Samurai in the Poinsettia Stakes at Oaklawn, and he hasn't taken the requisite steps forward in his first 2 outings this year. He should show some speed. We'll see about the 1.125 for Flash of Mischief. Officiating is the number 2. Distance is really the key for this horse. I look at his pedigree and I think maybe it's within his scope. His last race was the Grade 3 Run Happy, a race we're going to show you right now, and he was put on a hard chase going after the pace setter Chateau, who would end up finishing 2nd. Both of those horses were ripe for the pickings for the veteran closer Drafted, who not only won the Run Happy, but would come back and win the Mr. Prospector at Monmouth in his next start with an 85 Beyer, and then subsequently ran 2nd in the Alpacas Run Stakes at Delaware with an 86. So officiating has taken on some good horses in his last few races. Watching his races, it seems like, though, maybe 6 furlongs is a little bit sharp for him. I know he won the Grade 3 Tom Fool at that distance 3 starts back when he was able to get the better of Chateau, but at times he seems to be hard-ridden in some of his races. He seems like more of a grinding type horse, and maybe that'll play well at 1.125 miles distance. I wish he was more of a lone speed type here under Javier Castellano, but the horse down towards the inside, Flash of Mischief, might prevent him from making an easy lead. Speaking of the Steve Sexton Mile, we've got the winner of that race back for more, and that's the 3 Silver Prospector. We'll watch that race right now. He popped the 100 Beyer speed figure, and I think he really earned it, because Silver Prospector broke from the far outside post, and he must have been 4 or 5 wide all the way around the racetrack, and he still was able to grind down the pace setter in the final 16th of a mile. This is a horse that might be slightly better at the mile distance than at 1.125 miles, but he has won at 1.125 miles in the past. He does have the tactical speed to be placed wherever Stuart Elliott wants, and he just seems to be back in form. Now, he's a bit of an in-and-outer. We've seen some races like the Start 2 back where he just didn't fire behind Caddo River, and a couple of other races in his career where he just doesn't fire, and then he comes back and he fires a big shot. So make sure you get your price. 5-2 might be a little bit light on Silver Prospector, but maybe he drifts a little bit. I think Warren's going to take a lot of money. Rated R Superstar is just a cool horse. He's won 11 times in his career. He's earned $1.6 million. He showed he could still run at the ripe old age of 9. He is a multiple stakes winner this year, including a victory in the Grade 3 Essex at 1.116 miles. It's just that after the Essex, things haven't gone so well for Rated R Superstar. Maybe he was pace compromised in the Oaklawn Handicap 2 starts back. He is a 1-run closer after all. But in the Steve Sexton Mile, he just didn't do any running at all. He tried to follow Silver Prospector. He kind of clunked up to finish 5th. And I wonder if that race in the Essex just took a little bit of the starch out of him. 3-1 on the morning line seems a little bit short for me on Rated R Superstar, but this is a horse that was 3rd in the Cornhusker in 2020, third in the Cornhusker in 2021. He's run well at Prairie Meadows in the past. Give him a fast pace, he'll come running at the end. Maybe from a class standpoint, this is exactly what Warrant has been looking for. He won the Oklahoma Derby last year at 1 1/8. They tried him against horses like Mandaloon in the Louisiana, Express Train in the aforementioned Big Cap. They ran him in the Brooklyn last time out at a distance that was probably a little bit too far. I didn't love his performance in the Brooklyn. He was hard-ridden a long way out. It looked like he was going to go nowhere that day, and he still ended up finishing second, which makes me question what was behind him. I know Lone Rock on his best day is one of the better marathon horses in the country. He just didn't seem to fire his best shot in the Brooklyn for whatever reason. I think Brad Cox has been tinkering. You know, what distance is good for him? Is he a middle distance type? Is he 1.25 miles? Can he go 1.5 miles? I think the 1 1/8 hits him right between the eyes. He's the horse to beat based on his usual effort, and from a class standpoint, he fits beautifully. Fleetridge is the number 6. This horse scored off the claim last time out at Prairie Meadows. Let's watch that race. John Arnett does very, very good work, 36% at Prairie Meadows, and he had Fleetridge in a very good spot sitting just off the pace. He made a bold bid to the lead on the second turn, and he kept right on going. Buyer speed figure 78, co-best. Going to have to do a lot better, however, as he steps all the way up into the graded stakes ranks. Before we take a look at my top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel. Got lots of great stuff on DRFTV, including the Timeform US Pacecast from Craig Milkowski and David Aragona. Top picks, Warren's the horse to beat. Going to try to beat him with Silver Prospector. Maybe last time was the time to have him at 5-1. But he just was so wide all the way around the track, and he kept on going. It makes me think that Asmussen has him in good form. The 1 1/8 is a little bit of a question mark. He's going to have to work out a sort of a second flight mid-pack trip under Stuart Elliott, but a slightly better price than Warrant expected come post time. It's the Cornhusker, one of 2 graded stakes races at Prairie Meadows on Saturday. Good luck.